What is going on, everybody? I'm Noah from PhoneDog.com, and it's DogFight time. By request, actually, in this case, two of the more popular touchscreen phones to come out in the last year. The new-ish, the newer of the two, Samsung Eternity for AT&T, and the LG Dare for Verizon, which has been around for a little bit now, about 6, 8, 9 months ago this one came out. I remember I was on vacation last summer in Montana, and LG sent me this one to the hotel so I could check it out while I was on the road. Both very cool phones, touchscreen, multimedia focused, not full-on smartphones, but a lot of features, and definitely worth a look if you're in the market for a cool phone, you know, a phone that, I shouldn't say cool, I should say an advanced phone with a touchscreen and lots of features, but you don't need the full-on smartphone, you don't want to pay for a smartphone data plan, you don't want to deal with the complexities of a smartphone interface, and so on. So let's take a deeper look here. The AT&T Eternity from Samsung, the Verizon Dare from LG. Alright, so a lot of the difference in the two phones, and a lot of what I think your preference will be, or my preference will be between the two phones, comes down to the carrier and which carrier you prefer, AT&T or Verizon. There are, of course, other differences, but if you look at the phones, you know, form factor-wise, they're relatively similar. The Eternity is a little bit taller. They're about the same width. Dare is, you know, noticeably thicker, but it's really not that big of a difference. They're both quite handy, quite pocketable, both lightweight, both, you know, made of plastic, not kind of your top-end luxury construction, but both built well. But, you know, I've used both phones for a while, and haven't had any issues with them. The Dare I've dropped a few times, and the back got a little nicked up in the corner, but you know, no big deal at all. Both nice to hold. The Dare has a little more of a soft grip plastic feel to it. The Eternity is a little bit more of that kind of brushed, sleek feel. The Eternity maybe feels like it's a little bit more luxurious in terms of form factor, but again, pretty similar. Screen size is pretty similar. The Eternity is a little bit bigger. To me anyway, the Eternity always looks considerably bigger than the Dare when I first look at it, but actually when you look at the screen sizes, you know, if you get up close, if I hold them so that at the bottom they're lined up and you go up to the top here, and you can see the Dare on the left side here, just a little bit taller up on the edge than the Dare. I mean the Eternity rather than the Dare. Feature-wise, you know, both very similar. If we go into the menu here, you've got the TV service on AT&T on the Eternity, not on Verizon. Otherwise, similar services, CV Video, AT&T, VCast Videos for Verizon, your streaming video service, AT&T Music, you can get to the VCast Music Store on the Dare, VZ Navigator on the Dare, AT&T GPS on the Eternity. So, you know, again, very similar. If you look at the home screens on both phones, you know, kind of almost like a feature phone plus sort of interface. On the Dare, it's a feature phone interface. LG's, you know, I like LG's layout. I like the look of their icons. And you've got a few different, you know, a couple different menu options for the home screen. Got these animations on the front with the fish swimming around, and then you can also switch to a different view. You can, more of a standard Verizon view. You can drag your icons around. You can go to the shortcut menu. You can grab things, drag them to the home screen to add more, you know, customizable icons, and then you can dig down a layer and you can get to your favorites. You can get to the main menu, message menu, all that kind of stuff. Similar on the Eternity, Samsung's TouchWiz interface. So you've got these little widgets on the left side, which at this point, Samsung's got plans for the whole TouchWiz environment across many of their feature and smartphones, all of their touchscreen phones. But at this point, they're mostly just shortcuts, your birthday reminder, link to your calendar. You know, your calendar's there, shows you if you have an event, then you click to go deeper. Photo browser, and you can use it to set your background. There you go. That sort of thing. So pretty similar. Again, I think the Eternity's operating system, the TouchWiz, has a little more potential. Samsung said they're more invested in it and getting widgets out, but not a whole lot out of that just yet. We'll have to wait and see. Whereas with the Dare, it's much more kind of, you know, this is what it is. But a lot you can do with it for sure. We'll go into multimedia because that's a big one. They both have 3.5mm headphone jacks. You can plug regular headphones in. Eternity on the right spine, Dare on the top. They both have audio players and video players. We'll go. So here's the music player on the Eternity. Pretty basic. it does what it plays music. So you're going to be able to play your music out of it and hook it up to the headphone jack, and it's going to sound just fine. And on the Dare, similar. You get your album cover art, that's kind of it. They both work. Again, a little minimalistic in terms of features and that kind of stuff, but they both work just fine. Both have video players. Both also have the streaming video service, CV Video on the Eternity and Vcast Video on the Dare. You can shop for music and videos in both of them as well. AT&T Music on the Eternity and Vcast. The Vcast service is a little more polished. It's just been around longer, and just, Verizon's done a better job, I think, of trying to sell you more stuff this way. So, if you buy your music online through your carrier, I think the Verizon service is a little bit nicer. But, both phones have memory card slots so that you can just sideload your own music onto it. On the Dare, you've got your micro SD memory card slot on the side. On the Eternity, you actually have to open up the back panel. You see it's not there, but it's actually underneath the back panel of the phone memory card slot. Speaking of the back panel of the phone, both phones have 3 megapixel cameras. I definitely give an edge here to the Dare. Oops. Oh, Barracuda. Definitely give a little bit of an edge on the camera to the Dare. Spec-wise, 3.2 versus 3, pretty much the same. The Dare adds a flash and the whole Schneider Kreuznach optic system, etc. So basically the image quality on the Dare is better, I've found, than the image quality on the Eternity. And especially with video capture, you can go, we'll launch the video capture interface here, and you can go straight up to 640 by 480, full VGA quality on the Dare. Again, it's not the absolute best quality, it's not like using a standalone camcorder, but definitely, a little bit of a bonus there for the Dare. Speaking of photos, we'll look at the screen here. And we'll go to My Photos on the Dare. And here's a photo I took a long time ago. Accelerometer built in, so you can auto-rotate to your heart's content. Both screens are good. I find the Eternity actually a little bit easier to click. It's a little bit more responsive than the Dare is. It's newer, so they're both resistive touchscreens, not the fancier, more responsive capacitive screens that you find in some of the newer devices. But the Eternity, it is a newer phone, and the screen just seems to work a little bit better. Here's one of the built-in graphics. But I think, they both work fine. You'll get used to either one. I wouldn't let that be a determining factor. And, if you're in love with the Dare, I don't think the touchscreen is going to be a deal breaker. But I would give a slight edge to the Eternity in terms of the touchscreen.